Hey Joe, it's Folks here. In today's video, we're going to review the top reasons to use Etsy instead of Shopify for your print-on-demand store. Personally, I sell on Shopify. I have since 2016. I currently have 2 print-on-demand stores. And what we're going to do in this video today is review the top reasons to use Etsy instead of Shopify. And then I'm going to draw on my personal experience to sort of provide a rebuttal for each one and help you to hopefully choose a platform to start your print-on-demand store. And for me, the ideal print-on-demand business is one that is sustainable over the long term. I also want to make sure that the print-on-demand business I'm creating is not based on the amount of time I am putting into it, and I want to make sure that I can sell the highest profit products to the best niches. And before we jump into the rebuttals, I want to make sure that we agree with all of these things here. Print-on-demand is not a get-rich-quick business. There will be potentially some investment needed to run a successful store no matter where you are opening it, and ultimately the success of your store is going to be based on your ability to actually create great products. If you agree with all of those, this video is 100% for you. Now, one of the first things that people who recommend Etsy over Shopify will talk about is the fact that Etsy has traffic already. They have people on their platform searching for items and looking to buy products. For me, the real question with that is whether or not this traffic that exists there is easy and efficient to actually take advantage of. And more importantly, what has to be done in order to generate consistent and sustainable profits if you are trying to use that traffic as the core way that you're selling your items. Essentially, if you've chosen a niche like this here, products for people that are electricians, for example, or if you are attempting to sell to different types of farming type niches, maybe you're selling different apparel or wall decor like what you're seeing on the screen, or even if your niche has to do with being some sort of a sports mom, what you're going to need to do is pay a lot of attention to your mock-up so that way you can stand out. You'll also want to do extensive research on keywords, on tags, on titles, all to make sure that your products will show up here on the first page. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see that there are probably dozens of pages. If I just kept on clicking all the way through this, we will likely see dozens of pages of results for these same types of items. And remember, the question is it easy to actually take advantage of this traffic? This here is the Google trend for print on demand, and I've set it to 2016 as the beginning. That's when I started print on demand, and you can see this massive spike over the last 8 years of people getting interested in print on demand. And this here is a graph showing the total amount of Etsy sellers. It kind of matches that Google trend where year over year we have seen a ton of sellers come on to Etsy. We're currently in the year 2023, over 9 million sellers. And my basic argument is that even though there is traffic there, the saturation may make it difficult to actually take advantage of it. A lot of people talking about selling on Etsy would recommend you to choose a low competition niche, maybe not a niche as good as being an electrician like this, or a niche that's not as popular or good as something like farming, for example. And obviously being a sports mom would be a great niche to sell products to, but it's likely pretty competitive. My point is a lot of people recommend you to find low competition niches so that way you can actually take advantage of the Etsy traffic and not have to compete with everybody else. Personally, I think that's a bad strategy. That kind of just sounds like choosing a bad niche. So that way you can actually take advantage of the traffic that's built in. Another thing to think about is what is on here. This is a projection showing that by the year 2030, we will see $38 billion a year in print-on-demand sales. To put that in perspective, in the year 2023, we had just about $7 billion. This is an article here from CNBC. It's talking about how Etsy has essentially hit a wall post-pandemic and actually growing the amount of sales that are happening on its platform. According to this site here, it looks like Etsy generated $2.75 billion in revenue in the year 2023. And I would imagine that not all of that $2.75 billion is from print on demand. If we're being generous, maybe 1/3 of it is from print on demand, which would give them about $1 billion in revenue from print on demand products, which basically means in 2023, $1 billion of this came from Etsy. And if Etsy is not growing its sales, it's likely that if print on demand gets to this number here, it's not going to come from Etsy. The verdict here is that yes, Etsy does have traffic. However, that does not mean that if you just start posting your products, you're automatically going to get it. I have talked to a lot of people that have talked about struggling to get eyeballs on their stuff. Many of them are resorting to choose bad niches, also known as low competition niches, to actually try to stand out. I think that's honestly a bad strategy. If I have to choose bad niches in order to take take advantage of the built-in traffic, I'm likely not going to make sales anyway because I'm choosing bad niches. It is also likely that if you're following what a lot of people talk about when it comes to Etsy success, that you will need hundreds of designs to actually get a chance of showing up in search results. If you're trying to get 100 listing visits per day, you are likely, like I said, going to have to choose low competition niches to get that. The second part of my argument is that it might be more efficient to use social media to get 100 store visits a day. This here is an article from Forbes talking about how the social commerce industry is going to grow to almost $3 trillion by the year 2026. To put that in perspective, in 2022, we did under $1 trillion, so we're going to have a 3x growth in the next 2 years. It says discoverability is going to be huge in 2023 as consumers are not only using social media to socialize anymore, they are actively using social media as a search engine to find and purchase niche products. To me, that sounds exactly like what we are trying to do with print on demand. I'm basically saying that getting traffic from Etsy is not as easy as it's made out to be, and right now the current opportunity exists on social media. And one of the best ways to get traffic is to run ads on Facebook and Instagram. You can start with a $1 per day budget. I also run a lot of $5 per day ads, and that way I can put products right in front of people in my niche right away. And it's actually way easier than using Etsy tags or titles to find different keywords because I'm not trying to get people to find my stuff by searching. I am literally typing in my niche and having Facebook or Instagram deliver my products directly to them. So no matter what my niche is, I can search for keywords and I can target people directly on these platforms that have an interest in my designs. And then once I target my niche, I can simply show them my product in the same way that I would be doing on Etsy, except I'm bringing it right to them. I'm not trying to outcompete everybody else on the Etsy platform. Another awesome way that you can take advantage of social media traffic is to use an influencer. This here is an actual video of an influencer that I worked with opening one of my print-on-demand products. You can see that she is opening the box. She is going to show all of her followers the product, and she has tagged me in her caption on the actual video. This ultimately allows me to make even more daily sales because I'm getting traffic from this influencer's page, and all I had to do was send her a free sample. And the third way is using an organic following. You can see this page here is promoting merchandise to their followers. They're also posting lots of memes and different images relevant to their niche, and over time they've grown to the point where they've got just a few thousand followers, but they're likely making some organic sales as well. Basically, I'm making the argument that using these three ways to promote products on social media is going to be more efficient than it is getting traffic from Etsy. I'm basically saying the same amount of effort that will take you learning how to do Etsy SEO, if you put that into social media, you'll likely be able to scale higher. And this also means that we can sell to the best niches. We don't have to choose low competition niches in order to stand out on Etsy to take advantage of the traffic that's already there. We can also offer some really awesome print-on-demand items. When it comes to Etsy, most people are selling apparel or journals, simple t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, things like that. Here on my channel, I've shown lots of really amazing print-on-demand products that would sell great on social media, but there's not a lot of people actually searching for those on Etsy, so they might be duds there. So basically, the verdict is that yes, Etsy has traffic, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be super easy or efficient for you to get. If you put the time into learning how to use social media and how to actually get traffic to your store instead of learning how to do Etsy SEO, you'll likely get more bang for your buck, is my basic argument. And if you want to learn how to actually get started marketing on social media, I do have a free course. It's called POD for Dummies. Inside are over 30 videos showing you how to build your store and create all of your social media profiles so that way you can start selling. Like I said, it is completely free and there is a link down in the description. Next, we're going to talk about costs associated with an Etsy account versus a Shopify store. Many people don't recommend Shopify because they have a subscription. Etsy has no subscription. However, we are running a business, and yes, there is some cost with running an Etsy store. There are a lot of different fees that you will pay as you make sales with your Etsy shop. We're going to use this fee calculator here to sort of add some things up. Keep in mind that there is just a 20-cent listing fee for every single Etsy listing that you list. However, there are fees such as transaction and profit fees and Etsy offsite ads if you are using them. Many people teaching about Etsy do recommend to use use those so that way you can actually take advantage of some of the traffic that they have. Let's say, for example, we are selling a t-shirt. Let's say we're going to list that shirt at $19.99. Let's say that shirt costs us $11.99, and we are in fact using off-site ads. Keep in mind, we will need to change this to 15% instead of the 12. You can see here that if your revenue is less than $10,000, you will be charged the 15%. That's why we're doing that. We're assuming you don't have any sales yet. You can see here that we're actually only profiting $2.65 on the sale. That is after all of the different fees are minus from it. If we scroll down, we can see a breakdown of that here. We paid $5.35 in Etsy fees for that order. To be fair, if we turn off the offsite ads, we still have just a $2.05 fee. My basic argument is that if you have like 100 sales, for example, you're paying at least $200 in fees, which is more than a Shopify subscription. Yes, it is free to actually get started besides the small listing fee, but over time, if your store is making sales, you're going to be paying way more in fees than you would be with a Shopify store. Also, keep in mind, many people will recommend you to use a paid research tool to help you with trends and SEO. Most research tools cost just about as much as a Shopify store would. With Shopify, you will have your monthly subscription. They do have dollar trials, and ultimately this one is kind of a tie because they both have costs. Some of you will also bring up marketing costs. Yes, that is definitely going to be a part of it. I mentioned that you could use different free marketing methods to promote products organically to your followers. You could spend money on a sample and send it to a content creator like I talked about, and you can launch ads starting at just $1 per day. The idea would be, though, to spend the extra money that you're saving on research tools or saving on all of the different Etsy fees after you make a sale on some of those marketing efforts. If you're trying to start print on demand for free, though, obviously both options are going to have costs. Running a business has a cost to it. That's why at the beginning I had you agree to these here. There is going to be some money that you are going to be spending on your print on demand store no matter what. And my basic argument is that the fees on Etsy are likely going to add up to more than a Shopify subscription. And overall, this one is kind of a tie because Etsy and Shopify both have costs. The next thing has to do with work to actually build the store. Many people don't want to start a Shopify store because they think building the store is going to take too long, it's going to be too difficult, and they're not going to be able to figure it out. Etsy, it's true, it's easier to set up. You don't need to build a full store. However, there is some setup to your account and how your store actually looks. Most stores will have a logo, they'll have a bio section, and many also have a banner at the top here. So there is some setup, well be it that it is much simpler than a Shopify store. That doesn't mean though that building a Shopify store is super difficult. As I mentioned before, I do have a free course down in the description where I show you exactly how to come in here and start building out your store. It is quite literally drag and drop. You can put images in here, you can put text in here, just like when you're linking products to your Etsy shop, all of your products from your print on demand supplier will publish directly to your store. You can arrange them wherever you want. You quite literally have full control of how this looks. You can add in different text sections, like I said, you can add in different image sections, and it's really quite simple. Shopify, yes, does have more setup, but if I'm being honest, this is the fun part. You are building your own thing, you are branding it the way that you want, and you're creating a full storefront to showcase your items. And like I said, down in the description, I have a full setup course for you to follow. Everything so far that we've gone through are the three primary reasons people say to use Etsy over Shopify. First, they talk about the traffic that Etsy has built into it. I basically made the argument that yes, there are buyers on Etsy, but due to saturation, the interest in print on demand, and the amount of people actually selling on the platform, in order to actually take advantage of that, not only will you have to do exhaustive keyword, tag, and title research, but you may even need to choose bad niches. A lot of people recommend low competition niches so that way you can actually stand out. Personally, I think that's a bad strategy. I would much rather just do some simple things on social media with low budget ads and also with influencers and organic strategies to get 100 visits a day to my store rather than doing all of that for Etsy. Secondly, we talked about costs, and ultimately I said this one was a draw. There are costs associated with both. If you're running an Etsy store, you will pay higher fees once you begin to make sales. Obviously, to start, you just have your listing fee, but many of you will likely also be using paid research tools. You might even be paying for different design softwares as well. So ultimately, your Etsy business is not free, and there is some costs associated with it. Shopify does have a subscription, but like I said, if you're on a Shopify store, you're not going to be using one of those research tools, which means you could use that money for your subscription. And ultimately, I said this one was kind of a toss-up. Thirdly, building a Shopify store is not as difficult as many people think. We currently live in the world of the internet. Many of you have a decent amount of experience on a computer, and I have full confidence that if you tried, you could set up a Shopify store relatively quickly. And if you are going through my free course, like I said, I have over 30 videos showing you how to get started. The basic point here is that with a Shopify store, you can choose a great niche. You don't have to worry about the saturation of a niche because you're not trying to outcompete everybody else in the search results. You can also sell awesome products that make a really great profit margin that may not sell well on the Etsy platform. You can also have fun building your own shop, your own branded space. One of the cool parts for me about launching print-on-demand stores is actually building the store. You can have fun on social media, you can grow a following and create fans of your products. You can interact with them. I host giveaways from time to time where I have people share my posts, and that gives me even more followers. And ultimately, Shopify, in my opinion, is the better way to achieve long-term success with print-on-demand. If you're looking for something that over the long term is sustainable and builds in value, you're creating an asset that you'll own. I have actually sold print-on-demand stores in the past. Shopify is a great way to get to that. With Shopify as well, your time is not tied to your potential success. Here's what I mean about that. If you are on Etsy, a large part of your success is going to be based on your ability to continuously pump out new designs. You are likely going to spend all of your time doing just that. If you're not creating new designs, you're likely not going to grow your Etsy shop. And lastly, like I said, with Shopify, we can sell high profit items to the best niches. We don't have to worry about Etsy saturation. We can choose products that people do buy, but maybe they're not searching for on Etsy, and ultimately we can create a cooler print-on-demand business. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you on Team Etsy or are you on Team Shopify? Either way, let me know if you have any questions as well. And like I said before, I do have a free course showing you how to build your Shopify store if that's the route you wanted to go. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.